Today they did the big drop for their Barbie Bungee experiment.
2, 1.
It's all about linear associations between two variables, how one thing affects the other, an independent and a dependent variable. We kind of, before this unit, we were going over like kind of perimeter and like finding X and Y. And so then like yesterday in class, we were kind of going over like what's X, what's Y. X was like how many, like the number of rubber bands, and then Y was like the drop distance. So that kind of just all worked together.
Our prediction was not very good. We had 38 rubber bands, and we did probably a little too much, but probably the best rubber band length is probably like 28.
We said 25 rubber bands, and we did Y equals 15X plus 32, and ours was, it went pretty close to the ground, but we definitely needed at least 2 more rubber bands.
3, 2, 1.
LPS really pushes for story-based learning, problem-based learning, and this is my first year as a teacher, and last year I was student teaching with Alicia Davis at Scott Middle School, and she is like the gold standard for a math teacher. She really is. She's such an amazing teacher, and she and Holly Noser at Scott, they've been doing this experiment with algebra. The course 3 objective is they're just learning about the linear relationship, how one variable affects the other, so again, a little bit different.
I really loved it. I think Miss Scott did a great job on making it fun. She makes it really fun, and I enjoy it a lot. I enjoy math class.
It definitely helps a lot with learning and kind of just having that in the back of your mind, like, oh, on a quiz or on a test, like, oh, I remember we did this equation for the Barbie drop, so it kind of just helps you like take in the learning material.
I really liked being in a group. It's fun to, have teamwork and have good, conversations.
I was really proud of their buy-in, like how much they were willing to experiment and how much they were willing to get things wrong. I was also really proud of how just like on task they were and how well they were working with each other, and not just like they need to get it done, but they were wanting to get it done and they were wanting to arrive at a good bungee cord and keep their Barbie bungeeing for another day.
3, 2, 1.
Hopefully we're good now. Lincoln Public Schools Board of Education meeting Tuesday, May 13th is called to order. Laura, would you call the roll?
Ms. Byer.
Here.
Mrs. Danik.
Here.
Mrs. Krivelovic.
Here.
Mr. Mayhew.
Present.
Ms. Mumgard.
Here.
Dr. Rauner.
Here.
Mr. Shrivastov.
Present.
Nebraska Open Meetings Act is posted and available at the main entrance of the room. We have a public hearing on policy 5520, student fees. Before we begin the hearing, I'd like to note that the staff has recommended one change to Appendix 1 of the current policy. The recommended request is to increase the maximum fees subject to a fee waiver for both cheer and dance from $750 to $900. The recommended increase can be found as an attachment to agenda item 10.1.1 for this meeting for anyone who wishes to review or comment on them. First, I'd like to ask staff to give a brief report on the amount of money collected and use of waivers for the prior year. Mike.
Good evening, board members. LPS student fee policies are outlined in LPS policy 5520, specifically in Appendix 1, outlines which fees and materials are eligible for fee waivers. During the 23-24 school year, the district granted approximately $175,000 in fee waivers. For context, the 6-year average of fee waivers is approximately $163,000 per year. Over 86% of all student fees go to high school students, with the largest categories being athletics, band, cheerleading, and vocal music. This year, there is one proposed change to the student fees, and that is a request that was brought forward from Cheer and Dance, requesting an increase in the fee waiver amount from $750 to $900 for the 25-26 school year. This proposal was initially reviewed at the athletic and activity level, It was then reviewed again by the executive team before ultimately being reviewed and discussed with the Student Board Student Learning and Technology Committee. Over the course of this process to review this proposal, the cost of basic uniform items was found to have increased significantly in recent years, with some items experiencing cost increases between 200 and 300%. Overall, the average increase of the core items was about 180% across the board. The proposed change on tonight's agenda does seek to more closely align the fee waiver amount with the cost of items being purchased for participation in these activities. Policy 5520 in Appendix 1 with this proposed change does appear later on tonight's agenda as item 10.1.1 in its entirety, noting the one requested change. With that, I would close my report.
Thanks. For those interested in speaking during the public hearing, the same guidelines apply as to public comment. Speakers should complete the blue card and present it to staff prior to speaking. Speakers have a maximum of 5 minutes to speak. The board does not engage in conversation with the speakers, but listens carefully to the comments. With that, I hereby open this public hearing before the Board of Education, Lincoln Public Schools. The hearing is being conducted under the provisions of the Nebraska Public Elementary and Students Fee Authorization Act and other Nebraska laws. The purpose of this hearing is to receive input regarding policy proposal 5520 in Appendix 1, and the input received in the hearing will be taken into consideration by the board when we take action on the proposed policy 5520 in Appendix 1. However, we do have no blue cards, so I hereby close this public hearing, and this concludes this evening's public hearing on the Lincoln Public Schools Student Fees Policy 5520 and Appendix 1. Next, we have approval of minutes from our April 22nd board meeting. Are there any additions or corrections? Seeing none, the minutes stand approved as published. We'll next move on to special reports, presentations, and celebration of success. First, we have item 7.1. Annie.
Yes, would Karen Covil please meet me at the podium there? It is a pleasure to be giving this. I am not a scientist by training, but by loving it, learning to love it. And I did find that Ms. Covil here taught physics, which much to my engineer father's dismay, I never took. And the biggest physics test I ever did was when I was in a subway car and somebody tried to do a backward flip while we were going forward. Yeah. I don't think it worked. So, I would like to put this forward as a motion. Whereas Karen Covil was recently awarded the Robert E. Yager Exemplary Teaching Award from the National Science Teaching Association, and whereas Karen Covil has a gift for helping students see how science connects to their daily lives, and whereas Karen Covil engages, challenges, and empowers the next generation of scientific thinkers, and whereas Karen Covil uses her research and teaching background to share her science knowledge across the United States through articles and presentations, and whereas Karen Covil is valued, respected, and admired among her colleagues, not only at Lincoln Public Schools, but also across the state of Nebraska and the United States. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Lincoln Board of Education does hereby congratulate Karen Covil for winning the Robert E. Yager Exemplary Teaching Award from the National Science Teaching Association. Signed by Bob Browner, President of the Public Schools Board of Education, and Dr. John Scretta, Interim Superintendent of Schools. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. This is such a tremendous honor, and never in a million years would I ever have thought that I would be here today for this. I thank you so much for this recognition. I would like to express my gratitude to the Board of Education, the Lincoln Public Schools, and the National Science Teaching Association, and the Dr. Robert Yager Charitable Trust and Committee who selected me for this award. There are so many people I need to acknowledge and thank for their mentorship and support over the years, who have been instrumental in helping me with the development of my skills as a teacher, and who have also helped make my vision of high school science experiences a reality. I would like to thank my principal, who's here tonight, Megan Kroll, Sasha Van Zant, who is the administrator for science at North Star, who has been a great support this year, and all of the amazing administrators and teachers, past and present, that I've been able to work with, especially in science. The dedication and the heart of the North Star teachers are what motivate me to do my best work on a daily basis. There is simply no place like North Star High School. I would like to express my thanks and gratitude to Dr. James Blake, who provided me with many opportunities as a new teacher to attend professional development activities and to begin my learning of the next generation science standards, which is a reality in science classrooms at North Star. Betsy Barrett, our district science specialist, has been an amazing mentor and guide through the world of science curriculum, teaching, and assessment. In addition, she provides me so much advice and support on a daily basis and is a master teacher in her own right who serves as a role model for the kind of teacher and leader that I want to be. I would also like to acknowledge my friends and family who are here tonight. So my friends over here, my family, Scott Whitty, Hunter Whitty, my mom and dad, George and Lita Meyer. My parents are the sole reason I'm here tonight, because without their strength and support, I simply would not have been able to attend the University of Nebraska in 2012 after being out of college for almost 15 years to go back to school to become a science teacher. Finally, I would like to thank my 3 children who are here tonight, Jonathan, Holly, and William Covil. I appreciate their patience, love, and understanding throughout the years. My 3 children are why I work hard on a daily basis and hold myself to a high teaching standard in the classroom. I want the students of North Star High School to have the very best educational experience possible, as I would want for my own children. Thank you again, and I do appreciate this recognition.
I have a second. Kathy,
I would second that motion.
any comments? Don?
Could I ask Karen's supporters to stand so we can thank them all for coming?
All right. Laura, would you call the roll?
Ms. Mumgard,
Yes.
Mr. Shrivastov,
Yes.
Ms. Byer,
Yes.
Mrs. Danik,
Yes.
Mrs. Krivolovich,
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew,
Yes.
Dr. Browner.
Yes. Next, item 7.2, Piyush.
May I call RJ to the podium, please? Yes. I would like to present this in form of a motion. Whereas RJ Metteer teaches music at Lincoln Southeast High School and was recently honored with the 2025 Donald Lentz Outstanding Bandmaster Award by the Nebraska State Bandmasters Association. And whereas RJ Metteer works collaboratively to build quality music programs in our schools and community. And whereas RJ Metteer is committed to the success of students exploring their passions in music and the arts, and provides opportunities for all students to discover their musical abilities. And whereas RJ Metteer is valued, respected, and admired amongst his colleagues, not only at Lincoln Public Schools, but also across the state of Nebraska and the United States. Now therefore be it resolved that the Lincoln Board of Education does hereby congratulate RJ Metteer for being honored by the Nebraska State Bandmasters Association with the 2025 Donald Lentz Outstanding Bandmaster Award, signed by Dr. Bob Rauner, President of LPS Board of Education, and Dr. John Scretta, Interim Superintendent of Schools. Congratulations.
I decided to bring it along. It's a little different size than the one from last year. If you remember that, several of you were here, I recognized last year. First and foremost, the Donald Lentz Award is a career teacher award, and I can't hearken back to thinking about how can you win a career teacher award without all of the people that support you to do that. And all of those great opportunities are a product of that. I need to thank my parents first and foremost, Richard and Jeanette. And if we could give them a round of applause. Without their support, it'd be the same situation that she mentioned. It would not be here to this day. My colleague Maggie Delaney and Monica Long are here in support as well. Lincoln Public Schools and Lincoln Southeast in particular have made this possible from all of the wonderful support I've received over the years from so many people within that context. And it goes on to the support I've gotten from friends and colleagues, to the support and mentors of my colleagues within the Department of Lincoln Southeast. I worked for a number of years with Missy Noonan and Bob Kruger, and they have recently retired, and I really missed them, but I appreciated their everything they had provided me, that when I was gone, I could still lean on that. Same thing true of some of the administrators that I have had to work with, have been wonderful administrators at Lincoln Southeast. The band parents and the band boosters have been another great group of people that have provided so much support that really a lot of the things that we've accomplished in building the band program at Southeast over my years wouldn't have been possible without all of those other people supporting it. All the way down, you know, to, you say down, that's not really the way to word it, but through to the students as far as their age, their support, their efforts, their energies are truly a testament to any kinds of career teacher successes that I've had. There was a card I got from a kid recently, and she mentioned how it was amazing that you could get us to get up and be there by 6:50 in the morning to go out in the cold and the wet and learn how to do a marching band show, and how that taught her some of the values she's taken with her. And so many of these students have gone on in music, whether it's in performance or education, but also they've gone on in other career paths that are pretty amazing. And those kinds of lessons that they come back and mention that have served them so well are the same kinds of lessons that I learned from people who helped me. So in the end, I feel like it's a career teacher award, but it's really a contribution. I mean, it's all the people have contributed for me to be able to have that happen. My mentor from college, and the last person I mentioned, Dr. Gary Davis, was actually a Southeast alum. And he and I were visiting about this award recently because he had received it many years ago. And it was just, you know, it was very touching for him to be so supportive and recognizing how his efforts, without his efforts, there was no way I could ever win that award. And so I'd like to thank the Lincoln Public Schools Board of Education tonight for this recognition. Again, it is it's a career teacher award, but it's certainly a collaborative effort from everybody I've had the wonderful opportunity to work with.
Do I have a second? Don?
A second.
Any comments? Piyush, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to read from what Amber Rothschild wrote, who's a former student and current colleague at Southeast, and she says, what stands out most is Mr. Metteer's genuine care for each student. He takes the time to understand individual strengths and challenges, offering support and encouragement that extends beyond the music room. So that says a lot. I mean, you're teaching students not just music, but you're teaching them life lessons, and that's so important and appreciated. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I often have to say I was amazed that you could get my middle daughter Allie up at 6:50 every morning. Yeah. She was the hard one to wake up, but band was one of her main things, and now my son-in-law Tommy as well. And so, thanks. That was a huge part of their high school. So
They were a lot of fun.
yeah. Good kids. Yeah. Thanks. All right, Laura, would you call the roll?
Mr. Shrivastov,
Yes.
Ms. Byer,
Yes.
Mrs. Danik,
Yes.
Mrs. Krivolavik,
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew,
Yes.
Ms. Mumgard,
Yes.
Dr. Rauner.
Yes. Congratulations. Next, we have item 7.3, the Equity Cadre presentation and State of Diversity address. We have a whole crew, right?
Well, good evening, board. I've got my security team here, so they have given me a code name. They call me an UNC. So if you know that, that I'm fairly old. But my name is Peter Ferguson. I'm the coordinator of culture inclusion, scholar development, also the assistant director, or supervisor of recruitment. My role tonight here is as the advisor of the LPS District Scholar Equity Cadre. It has taken on its current form since 2019, and tonight the cadre will present their annual State of Diversity Address. It's an annual opportunity for them, for the group to highlight, celebrate, and also showcase initiatives and actions that have been led by them across the district, but also, as you'll hear, across the greater state. So with that being said, I'll turn it over to the cadre.
Good evening, everybody. We understand you have limited time this evening, and to respect that, we will be presenting an abridged version of our address. As cadre members, we strive to demonstrate our purpose, showing that we know who we are and what we currently and will continue to stand for in our lives. The LPS Equity Cadre's purpose is to continue to progress by establishing that positive change doesn't stop for anything. The LPS Equity Cadre is our voice. We strive for positive change in every meeting and will not stop until we achieve that. My name is Rafa Ahmed. I'm a junior at Lincoln North Star, and my purpose is to help others in any way that I can. I am the second of 3 Ahmed siblings who have been in the cadre. My older sister, Reem, started our family's cadre experience back in 2020. She passed the baton to me in 2022, and I am now sharing it with my little brother. The faces up here should be familiar, as the cadre has had representation at almost every board meeting this year. As we sat in these board meetings and our monthly meetings, we were guided by our 2 driving questions. How are LPS students seeing, feeling, and thinking about diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging in schools? As well as how are scholars being impacted by the current LPS school climate? These questions allowed us to view everything through the lens of LPS students, and LPS's all means all at the forefront of our minds. With me here are other cadre members who I invite to share their purpose with you all as we move forward tonight.
Hi, my name is Lillian Biddle, and I'm a senior at Lincoln Southwest High School, and my purpose is to educate others with my experiences while also learning from theirs. Our 3 themes, building community and momentum, advancing equity within and outside of LPS, and continued future directional charge, will follow our purpose, centering itself around diversity, equity, and inclusion. We will establish them as we move forward. Whereas building community momentum starts with connections, the relationships that have been harbored and nurtured through our community outreach steps, while accelerating efforts towards equity.
Hello, my name is Gianna. I'm a junior at Lincoln High School, and my purpose is to advocate for myself so that I can advocate for others. For the 4th consecutive year, cadre members, in partnership with Lincoln City Libraries, facilitated story times at select local branches and daycares that we had reached out to within the community through cadre Storytime. These readings included interactive experience books that showcased diversity and supported early literacy by offering vocabulary development and experiences with a wide variety of literature as well as languages, with students learning words, or with scholars teaching words such as in languages such as Spanish, Arabic, and American Sign Language. Thanks to Julie Jones Branch and Lincoln Littles, as well as the Lincoln City Libraries for facilitating this year's reading opportunities.
Whereas we are advancing equity within and outside of LPS, striving to design district that we create change with open minds, understanding that our goal is to enforce all means all.
Hi, I'm an Irving 8th grade student. My purpose is to be the best person I can be and live multiple lives in one. I'm Octavia Cruz. This year, we engage in various spaces throughout our city and across the state. Within LPS and at my school, Irving Middle, the establishment of school-wide equity at Cadre has pushed the momentum of connection between staff and students. The opportunities from Cadre connected 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, allowing them to be seen and heard. This year, Irving's equity focused on the impact of inappropriate language and jokes in the classroom that have racist, homophobic, and sexist implications.
Hello, my name is Maya Stevenson. I am a senior scholar at Southwest, and my purpose is to let my light lead others. This year, for the first time, Gabriel and I represented the cadre as student leaders in the development and the facilitation of the inaugural Building Bridges and Making Connections Inclusion Summit in Omaha. Similarly, the Cadre successfully hosted the 3rd annual Greater Than One District Inclusion Empowerment Summit here in this building, expanding our horizons to Western Nebraska.
Good evening. My name is Gabriel Bugay. I'm a senior at Lincoln East High School, and my purpose is to be vocal so others may feel empowered to do the same. In my 4 years in the Cadre, I am proud to have seen this group become a statewide leader in efforts to improve education for all. Hosting these summits throughout the state and building these connections with other districts is crucial in planting the seeds of diversity, equity, and inclusion across Nebraska so that every student, not just an LPS, is prepared for, as directly quoted from your strategic action plan, successful careers, lifelong learning, and civic engagement.
Whereas continued and future directional charge starts with the community we've built, the equity we've implemented, and ultimately leads to our future plans within the district.
Hello, my name is Harnu Sidhu. I'm a freshman at Lincoln Southwest High School, and my purpose is to lead and inspire others. The world has undergone significant changes. Sometimes these changes may not align with the Equity Cadre's goals. However, we want to assure you that the Cadre will remain a consistent presence. One of the Cadre's goals is to ensure that all young scholars feel welcome in every space that they're in, not just at Cadre meetings, but also in their classrooms, on the court, and with their friends. Our goal for the board is to continue the utilization of the Scholar Equity Cadre and similar groups to help amplify the voices of the underrepresented communities. Our goal for the LPS staff is to continue supporting and encouraging students. And lastly, our goal for the Lincoln community is to welcome young people into your spaces.
Now, therefore, the Lincoln Public School Scholar District Equity Cadre remains committed to celebrating scholars' contributions to achieving more equitable outcomes and inclusive excellence within our public schools and communities.
As a Cadre, we would like to thank the current board members for their support of the Cadre and, in turn, LPS students. We are also looking forward to meeting with the incoming members of the board. Thank you, guys.
I always say that's a tough act to follow, but in closing, I also do want to acknowledge the board and the leadership of the organization. It's not just me. I want to acknowledge the other advisors, Brandy Benson, Claudia Perales, and DJ Reese, and also Barb Miller. Also the support and the direction from Brittany Hodges, and also Dr. Van Price. And then last but not least, we do have some Cadre alumni and other members, and so I would ask if they would go ahead and please stand.
Mm-hmm.
They are open for questions if you have them, and
All right. Kathy.
Okay, first I have a couple comments. You guys inspire me. You make me feel awed at what we teach in this district and how you welcome each other. When each of you were speaking, I saw heads nodding, and it wasn't just from you. Your voices are lifting up the people behind you. And for me as a board member, that's a testament to what each one of you do every day. So what I would like to ask you is, I know you're in middle schools, I know you're in high schools. How do you think your message is being heard by the younger people in elementary and early middle school?
So with this Cadre story times, I think that's a really great way that we are able to reach out to our community in general, but also the younger people. It's kind of crazy, especially at the library ones, how diverse the age group of people that are coming to listen to us are. So yeah, that's a really great time because yes, we are reading them books, but we are also teaching them lessons, life lessons, and having communication with them that I think is really beneficial to our younger people.
Thank you.
Okay. Barb?
Well, I just want to thank you for a wonderful presentation, year-long work, and I'm just really impressed that you're having a statewide impact through the summits, and I want to encourage you to continue doing that And I too am inspired by you. And thank you so much for coming this evening.
Annie?
Well, I mean, we'll just keep going because there's many of you, more than you than us, but it's an excellent job again, and it sounds like you had an excellent experience again this year. And we're just going to be a better community because of what you all put into learning to be together, make us better, and being willing to stand up here and tell us how to be better. I would be very interested. I was looking, I'm with board. I find your third annual across the state district meeting to be just a role model, fascinating thing, a role model. I think we have a long way to go to cross the urban-rural divide that is completely made from, we all have the same life experiences, they just happen in different kind of ways. So I really applaud you for that. But I was looking at your 3 things, or your next steps, and one was with board and district leadership. And you don't have to give me an answer now, but if as you've been coming and sitting at our board meetings, what would be the value of having a voice on our board, do you think? Anybody, or you can go back and think about it.
Yeah, I feel like Pete told us not too long ago that I think it was Grand Island has a scholar on their board member, and I was like, or on their district board, and I was like, that's the coolest thing ever. I would love to be on the board because you guys are making such big decisions on our learning experience. And Mike sat up here and talked about the cheerleading, fee waiver, increasing that. And I was like, all my friends are in cheer. They would love to hear about this and how it directly impacts them. And so having, a scholar on the board would be so important because, we'd be able to spread this information to our schools. Because I know a lot of my friends probably don't even know that you guys meet here all the time. They don't even know about you guys. So first, increasing student involvement, but also student knowledge of the board. So, yeah.
And if I could add on, I think an important thing to note is that scholars are not underqualified, I believe personally, because when you have scholars competing in Constitution competitions, defending our national rights, and scholars who are learning college-level economics while still in high school, I think it is pretty evident that scholars are just as qualified as a community member to be on the board, especially since they're representing their fellow students. So,
Thank you for your thoughts. I'm still a little shocked that your peers don't know about us, but I do thank you for your thoughts, and I think that's some solid thinking. Appreciate it.
Kathy,
Okay, so now Annie prompted me for one more question because what I worry most about is that the apathy that is growing across our nation so many times in elected officials, and here you're inspiring us all. We sit in these chairs, we visit our schools, we see a lot of the work that you do and the effects of the work that you do within your school buildings. So I want to challenge you each to consider that even if you're not a student member of the Board of Education, that you consider as you age to taking one of these seats. I mean, that's really an inspiration to see young people wanting to make sure schools are better for everyone. I have a nephew who's at Belmont, and when he started at Belmont, he was terrified to death. He's now at Goodrich, and all of a sudden he's getting an impact of the kids around him where he's doing, I got a B+, and I'm almost to an A instead of just getting by. It's because of that peer-to-peer discussion that you're doing. So don't just think it's being a member on the board while you're a student. Aspire to do public service forever. You really, really, really inspire me. I'm just so excited to hear from you.
Okay. Well, thanks for the report. Great job, guys.
Thank you.
Next, we have item 7.4, the ProCom update, tenure. Sarah.
All right, as Dr. Clark joins us, just a little bit of context. So LPS has a long-standing tradition of partnering with LEA when there is a topic of interest for both parties that we think would actually improve the lives of our teachers, whether that's a program or a system that we have in place. And so if you'll remember, last year during our negotiations process, we had 3 committees that came out of that process, one being tenure that you'll hear about updates today. The other 2 were our appraisal process and also our extra standard compensation process. And so we are comfortable now bringing you kind of an update for our tenure committee. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Clark.
Great, well, thank you. It's good to see all of you. My name's Amy Clark, Director of Continuous Improvement and Professional Learning, and I am here on behalf of our Tenure ProCom Committee to share with you some highlights and updates as we would like to move forward into the new school year with a new tenure program. So these are the folks that sat on the committee this year, and what our committee did was reviewed our current practices, researched best practices, and then redesigned our tenure programming for the first 3 years of employment in LPS, new educators to Lincoln Public Schools. You can see this group is rather large, and we did that intentionally because when we talk about certificated staff members, we're not only talking about teachers, we're talking about school nurses, school counselors, school psychologists. There's a wide range within certificated staff, so we needed to make sure that all of those voices are represented in our programming. So tonight I'm going to share with you some highlights of our proposed changes, and our goal is to really ensure support is provided to our new educators, that they're equipped and they're connected starting from day one when they come into LPS. So before we developed any proposals that I'm going to share with you tonight, we did survey, and you can see that we had quite a great response in who we surveyed, both participants and then supporters of our tenure programming. And we took the feedback from these groups to think about what is going really well that we want to keep, what are some things that might need a little bit of a tweak, and then where do we want to make some revisions. And so that is all going to be recalibrated into a new tenure program that we are going to be calling Lincoln Public Schools Elevated. And we are looking at tenure pathways of professional learning, coaching, and support for K-12 educators. And we are aiming to elevate the experience of our educators as they learn, as they grow, and as they lead in our schools within their first 3 years of employment. So let's talk about the program a little bit. There's going to be 3 components to it. First, there's going to be the summer before your first year of employment, the first year of employment and building a strong foundation, and then years 2 and 3, elevating professional practices. So I'll talk a little bit about each of these sections. First of all, on the left-hand side of your screen, you'll see our summer session Welcome to LPS. The feedback that we got regarding the professional learning that we provide the summer before folks start was really strong. So we're not making many changes to that, just minor tweaks here and there. And that week consists of a welcome, where many of you are at, welcoming our new educators. They get an orientation to LPS, and they get an orientation to their buildings. We have curriculum and instruction days where all of our participants get supports around their content areas so that they feel confident to begin their jobs in the classrooms and in their different work areas. We also talk about setting up that classroom climate or those positive environments where education can happen and supporting with those positive behavior interactions. And then it concludes with some welcomed additional planning time for our staff as well. In year 1, that is a full year of in-class time throughout the year, getting foundation in their specific content area. So folks will attend professional learning opportunities to get a little preview into what they need to be preparing moving forward and some time to reflect. So many of those components are remaining the same. When we think about some of the revisions that we're proposing, that is really coming into year 2 and 3. And here is where the feedback that we received from participants was, we really would like, by the time we're in years 2 and 3, to have more choice, more flexibility, more relevance to the work that we're doing, and time to connect with new educators and within their professional learning opportunities. So we've developed more of a pathways experience for our folks. So there would be 2 pathways provided. Pathway number 1 would be an in-person learning summit. And this is kind of like a mini conference. We would offer it 6 nights. Folks would choose 4 out of the 6 nights to attend. That allows that flexibility. And then when you go to the mini conference, the in-person learning summit, you'll have a menu of choices of topics that you can choose from so that it's more relevant to whatever you need at that time. This is great for our participants because they can find the just next learning opportunity that they need. And for us as a district, we can pivot or focus on different areas that we think we need to prioritize. The second pathway is a current class that we offer called Video to Improve Performance, or VIP, and that's more of an individualized learning opportunity. Folks come to an in-class session. They learn about how do I do video reflection, what is goal setting, and they set goals for themselves, do some video reflection independently outside of class time, and then come back together to reflect. So to build community and foster a cohort of new educator relationships, an additional component to years 2 and 3 is us partnering with community resources to provide dinner on these evenings. So dinner would be provided and some connection and conversation time to really help build that cadre setting for our new folks. So with LPS Elevated, this is really a strategic investment in the growth and well-being of our staff. And by ensuring that they feel supported and connected to resources, we're equipping them with the tools so that they can thrive and strengthen their foundation to have a really long career in LPS. And we know it's a ripple effect. What we do for our staff in their well-being will impact student outcomes and student well-being as well. So with that, I know that that was a big just kind of overview highlight, but I would entertain any questions you might have.
Annie?
I should have asked Dr. Salim this to start with. Could you explain what you're talking about when you talk about tenure pathways, when you're talking about it at our level? I mean, I think of tenure in a university level, which means you're doing your special work to stick around for basically forever, which I think is our goal, is we want them to stick around for a long time. But what is your definition of tenure path?
So in order to gain tenure status, it's participating in the classes that I just described within your first 3 years of employment. So the pathways that we're offering is more choice. Currently, they attend a set group of classes that we provide, and so this would be a pathway of choice where they could choose more of that individualized opportunity for learning or come to those mini conference in the in-person learning summit.
So do our teachers have a choice of being on the tenure status, or is that just how it flows after 3 years?
That is a requirement.
Requirement.
Yep.
So by year 3, year 4, we have tenured staff.
Yes.
Who have had some extra.
That they have had this foundational professional learning experience to help get them started, yes.
Okay, fabulous. Looks fabulous. Thank you.
Yeah.
The state actually sets tenure as a 3-year, but they don't actually give us guidance on what those 3 years have to look like. So then that's up to each individual district to determine what has to happen in those 3 years, along with good evaluations each of those 3 years to get tenure status. So the 3 years isn't our thing, it's a state thing.
Thank you.
Okay, Kathy and then Barb.
So as you look, I'm assuming this is going forward, because that's why you're presenting it to us tonight. And do you have staff on the, and I know you probably do, on year 1, 2, and 3, how are you integrating current staff into this program when it looks like this is a new starting place?
Yeah. So it won't impact the pathways really of where we're currently at. Our year 1 folks that are in tenure currently, they will just get a different set of programming moving into next year. It won't be the set classes. They will get to choose what classes they take.
Do you anticipate that you will have some staff members that want to take this new pathway as compared to where they're at today?
Possibly, and that would be exciting. We hope that this is kind of re-energizing, and with that autonomy to choose learning, that we will have a really good buzz around it, and we'll be providing really high-quality professional learning for our staff.
I've had the opportunity to watch some first-year teachers grow a lot in the last year, so I think this is very exciting. Thank you.
Barb?
Yeah, I was wondering, does this dovetail or replace continuing education credits for teachers?
I'm not quite sure what continuing.
Do you mean salary advancement?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can talk about salary advancement.
Yep. So we do provide salary advancement for our classes, and we currently do for our tenure, so it would continue. We would be able to, folks could pay to get that salary advancement on their transcript.
Okay. I really like that you have mentoring in here.
Great.
That sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thanks.
Okay, thanks so much.
Our next item is public comment. Blue cards are available at the entrance for those wishing to speak. Each speaker is allowed 3 minutes and may provide printed materials to the board. Please begin your remarks by introducing yourself, your address, the name of any organization you're representing, and we'll inform you when 1 minute remains. I have a blue card from Bo Castle and Jack Castle.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Jack Castle. I'm from Lincoln Southeast High School. And my name is Bo Castle. I'm a junior at Lincoln Southeast High School. Just a few weeks ago, we stood in a convention center in Orlando, Florida. 2 of over 23,000 high school students competing at the DECA International Career Development Conference. We are 2 of 13 students representing Lincoln Public Schools, and I'm proud to say we didn't just attend, we competed with the best of the best. 9 of our 13 LPS students placed in the top 20% of their events. But ICDC isn't just a competition. It's an international conference that blends together real-world learning, networking, professional growth. For many of us, it's where school becomes something more, something we want to attend, something we want to be involved in. Getting there, though, wasn't easy. It took months of preparation, practice, navigating complex approval processes, and honestly, some of the challenges felt less like structure and more like barriers. While other districts offered streamlined support and financial backing, we depended on determination, self-organization, and a lot of people saying, let me see what I can do. We made it work, but it's hard to not notice the difference. We understand every program has rules, but there's a difference between policy that provides structure and policy that limits students' success. When students take the initiative, deliver the results, and earn international recognition, we believe that deserves real support, not just permission. Behind all of this were our DECA advisors. They coached us, stayed late after school, managed logistics, and support us every step of the way. What often goes unnoticed is that these advisors are expected to pay their own way to conferences like ICDC. These costs then get pushed down to students and make these even less accessible for students. Luckily, we were fortunate enough to be able to attend and compete at that conference, but other students aren't as fortunate, and they are limited in what their ability. So we like to recognize the people who made this happen. Mr. Matt Maul from East, Miss Allie Thompson from Southwest, and Mrs. Jessie Christensen from Southeast. You didn't just guide us, you made this experience possible. We know you never asked for recognition, but we want to give them some recognition here at this meeting. Career and technical student organizations like DECA, they're not just clubs. They're extensions of the classroom. They create capable, confident leaders. They align directly with the LPS mission statement of preparing all students for successful careers, so we believe they should be treated as such. We're not asking for special treatment, but when students are competing at the highest levels and bringing international attention to their schools, we hope the district will consider ways to make that path more accessible, whether that's giving advisors funding to help these students reach their goals, or it could be reviewing policy that create these unnecessary delays for students trying to attend national events. Even small changes could open some big doors for students. Imagine what could happen next year if students stand on that national stage, knowing that their district believed in them every step of the way. We want to thank you guys for your time and for continuing to support students who not just participate, but lead to meet their passions. Thank you.
Congratulations, Bo and Jack, and thanks for that comment. Next item, we have consent agenda. Are there any items to remove from the consent agenda? Is there a motion for approval of the remaining items on the consent agenda? Annie, and then Barb.
I move we approve the consent agenda 9.1, human resources, 9.2, routine business, and 9.3, option enrollment, student application for 25-26. We do all three?
And Barb?
I second that, and I also have a conflict on consent items to read. I hereby declare a potential conflict of interest and hereby abstain from voting on agenda item 9.2A as to all manners identified in and reflected by my separate potential conflict of interest statement filed herewith. My vote in favor of consent is a vote in favor of all other consent items except those identified in that statement upon which I have and do hereby abstain.
Okay, Kathy?
I have a conflict statement. I hereby declare a potential conflict of interest and hereby abstain from voting on agenda item 9.2A as to all matters identified in and reflected by my separate potential conflict of interest statement filed herewith. My vote in favor of consent is a vote in favor of all other consent items except those identified in that statement upon which I have and do hereby abstain.
Piyush?
I also have one. I hereby declare a potential conflict of interest and hereby abstain from voting on agenda item 9.2A as to all matters identified in and reflected by my separate potential conflict of interest statement filed herewith. My vote in favor of consent is a vote in favor of all other consent items except those identified in that statement upon which I have and do hereby abstain.
All right. Laura, would you call the roll?
Ms. Byer.
Yes.
Mrs. Danick.
Yes.
Mrs. Krivolavik.
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew.
Yes.
Ms. Mumgard.
Yes.
Mr. Shrivastov.
Yes.
Dr. Rauner.
Yes. Next item is first reading from 10.1 from board committees, 10.1.1, policy 5520, student fees. I think we kind of covered it already.
Yeah, Dr. Gelati, his intent was to cover everything there up front, and so kind of as previously noted from our staff report on fees, there's just one proposed change, and that is to increase the fee waiver amount for cheer and dance. Otherwise, it all remains the same.
Okay.
I have a question. Do we want that approved tonight since the changes are minimal, or do you want that to go to the second reading?
I think when we discussed it in agenda review, we were going to carry it to second reading.
Perfect.
All right. Okay, any other questions? Move on to 10.1.2, newly annexed property to the city of Lincoln. Barb.
Yes, I'll have Scott Wieskamp explain this.
Okay, good evening. We actually discussed this earlier today in planning. It's roughly 2.82 acres in East Lincoln. It's just east of South 98th Street and slightly north of Van Dorn. It's just another development extension. You're going to see this is one of the hot spots around our city's perimeter that will continue to have future growth. Very simple tonight. Be happy to answer any questions. It's not very large, but there will be more forthcoming in upcoming weeks.
Kathy?
Potential for new students?
Yes, this is Maxey, Lux, and East High School, but it's 2.82 acres, so we kind of did the math today. That's 9 rooftops based on the acres and how many houses, but there will be more acres forthcoming. I'll promise you that.
So they're only looking at single-family homes, or are they looking at multifamily development?
This is single family in this area. Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Next, we have item from 10.2 from the superintendent, 10.2.1 NDE Comprehensive Literacy State Development Goal. Sarah.
So Dr. Olson presented this to our Student Learning and Technology Committee a few weeks ago, a grant funded that directly connects to our early literacy strategic plan action area. So Dr. Olson's here to answer any questions, but we would ask that this move in one reading if possible due to the early June timeline.
So we're seeking board approval for LPS to apply for the Comprehensive Literacy Staff Development Grant, which is with up to $1 million in funding through the next school year. This grant, part of NDE, is $55 million statewide literacy initiative for the next 5 years, so $11 million per year. Will support professional learning in the evidence-based literacy instruction through the lens of the science of reading. Do you have any questions about what we're applying for?
Barb?
At this time, do we have any indication from the federal government if this program will continue?
At this time, from the sources that we are receiving, the information about this particular grant, they have secured the first 2 years out of 5 as far as the funding goes. That's what we have been told from NDE.
Thank you. Can I make a motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Some other questions, but yeah, you can.
I move approval of 10.2.1 NDE Comprehensive Literacy State Development Grant Proposal.
And Kathy?
I'm going to presume then you're setting aside our other.
Yes, we're waiving the other time. Thank you so much for reminding me.
And I'll second the motion then.
Okay. Do you have any other questions?
Nope.
Okay. I have a question. How do we know this grant will work after 5 years? What are we doing to evaluate it?
We are using different assessment pieces that we have, and that's part of the grant, right? We're making sure that this is, first of all, sustainable after the grant is over, what we're teaching. So what we're trying to do is to give very heavy professional learning session with our teachers so that they can position their students as capable in their classroom. It aligns definitely with the strategic plan through the lens of students and staff well-being and outcomes. So, because we're really enhancing their skill set as far as their literacy work in the classroom.
Okay. Is this primarily elementary school? And so
it is K through 12. We have definitely started working on the primary level, K through 3. However, this is going to be, after it's been granted, when it's granted, we would like to use it for K through 12.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Seeing none, Laura, would you call the roll?
Mr. Mayhew,
Yes.
Ms. Mumgard,
Yes.
Mr. Shrivastov,
Yes.
Ms. Byer,
Yes.
Mrs. Danik,
Yes.
Mrs. Krivolavik,
Yes.
Dr. Rauner.
Yes. Next, we have item 10.2.2, proposed agreements with Custodial Employees Association, Nutrition Services Workers Association, Association of Office Professionals, Paraeducator Employees Association, Technicians and Administrators for the 2025-2026. Van.
Good evening, Board. Blake Simpson, who is our Director of Employee Relations and our Chief Negotiator, has worked really hard and diligently with our employee groups again this year, and we are pleased to share that we have reached a tentative agreement with most of the majority of them as they are listed on the agenda. All are within the parameters that you as a board have set for us, and so tonight we are requesting that the board approve the agreements that have already come in one reading, and then allow us to return when we have reached tentative agreements with the other two, which are maintenance and transportation.
Okay. Are there any questions? Kathy?
I would move that we waive second reading and approve the contract proposals as presented in the board agenda for the nutrition services, custodians, office professionals, paraeducators, technicians, and administrators.
Do we have a second?
Custodial.
Oh, I said that second.
Yeah.
I just didn't say it in order, Jim.
Okay. All right. Do we have a, Don?
A second.
Okay. Any discussion? Kathy?
So this is, you said almost everybody, we still have one more to go?
Two.
Two more to go,
Yes.
okay, thank you.
All right.
They're coming. Blake's making progress.
Yes.
All right, Laura, would you call the roll?
Mrs. Krivolavik,
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew,
Yes.
Ms. Mumgard,
Yes.
Mr. Shrivastov,
Yes.
Ms. Byer,
Yes.
Mrs. Danik,
Yes.
Dr. Rauner.
Yes. Next, we have item 10.2.3, proposed contracts for associate superintendents for teaching and learning, business affairs, human resources, educational services, and ESU administrator. John?
Yeah, fantastic group. privileged to work with them every day. The recommendations are consistent with and within the parameters previously set by the board, and actually right in step with the other broader administrator group recommended adoption that was in 10.2.2. And we would also request that this be approved in one reading, waiving the second. Thank you.
All right. Any comments or a motion? Don?
I move that we set aside our policy, waive second reading, and move approval of item 10.2.3.
Okay. Annie?
I'll second that.
Any questions? Kathy and then Annie?
I just want to take a moment to say thank you to our associate superintendents. They provide a lot of information to board members, and I just wanted to say thank you.
Okay. Annie?
Well, I was going to say the same thing, but I was also wanted to add to that these are contracts that, as it says, that are made with within the parameters that we have board have set, which means we've talked about the parameters and we've talked about our goals and expectations, and it's always fun. It's always nice to know that what we put out there and have hopes for, and that the custodials and the paras, that we can come to a place where we can agree that it's a positive for everyone and a movement forward as well. Our goal in all of these is that we are not stagnant as an employer, but we are a vibrant employer, being one of the largest employers in the city. And I just love it when we have all of these come together at the same time, because they're actually do the broad level, a swath of what we find and what we need to run a school district. From the custodial staff to our administrators to our folks who have doctors in front of their names because they know way more than most of us in this room about education. So it's just always, I find this to be a fascinating and fun time of the year to be able to support that and appreciate all the work that goes into it. I know that Blake worked really hard to really push forward with each entity to get the best that he could get for them and for us this year. So just wanted to say I appreciate all that, and I'm glad it's going to work out.
All right. Peace?
I just wanted to appreciate and thank everybody that is included in this agenda items. You all are just top-notch people who not only do so much for the district and the students, but also help each one of us sitting here. So your work is really appreciated, and thank you, including those that are not here today.
Okay. All right. I lost track. Did we have a second in there? Yeah, okay. Laura, would you call the roll?
Ms. Mumgard,
Yes.
Mr. Shrivastov,
Yes.
Ms. Byer,
Yes.
Mrs. Danik,
Yes.
Mrs. Krivolavik,
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew,
Yes.
Dr. Rauner.
Yes. Next, we have item 10.2.4, shelf-stable foods, refrigerated and frozen foods. And Liz isn't here, so we'll jump right to the head of nutrition.
Good evening, board. Tonight I have before you the results of the frozen and refrigerated shelf-stable bids. These are for July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026, with 2 optional 1-year renewal periods. The sum does look like a large amount of money, but we do feed about 4.4 million lunches and 1.7 million breakfasts a year. So this is where most of our food comes from, is from these contracts.
Kathy, yeah.
So are the majority, I know we used to work at this, are the majority of our purchases in this local, I should say USA grown?
Yes, most of the food that we do serve is from the United States of America. Obviously, pineapple will always be from Thailand or China or Indonesia, items like that. That's just the nature of where how stuff is grown in the world. But yes, most of our food is definitely domestic.
So we don't have to worry about being tariffed for the most
Yes.
part? Thank you.
Yes.
Perfect.
Great
Thank
question.
Any other questions? Annie?
This is not a small amount. You should never say that. I'd love to have a scholar on our board to realize that we pay $6 million alone for the canned stuff, right? And frozen stuff.
Well, this is all chicken, cheese, everything. This is
The whole-
most of our food right here.
Most for food. All right, $6 million, friends. Shock your friends with that one, okay?
Well, there's all that mozzarella from a few
Yeah,
weeks ago, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, any other questions? All right, thanks. So come back to us at our next meeting. Second reading, we actually don't have anything for second reading this week. We have no expedited emergency actions, no items removed from the consent agenda. Informational items, is there anything from board committees? Is there anything from special appointments? Okay. I'd like to kind of interrupt the flow here just a little bit and make some comments because this is the last meeting I'm going to be at with Kathy Donick and Don Mayhew. None of us know what a meeting is like without Kathy Donick and Don Mayhew, so this is going to be weird. But thank you for your years of service. 6 years seems like a long time. At 24, that's a lot of service to put in, a lot of volunteer hours. And we know how much that is. So I'm really impressed by your service. We've learned so much from you guys over the years, even before I was on the board. And so thank you for your years of service.
Welcome.
So, Barb?
Well, I prepared a statement. It'll take a few minutes because you guys have been here more than a few minutes. So 20 years ago, I started my Lincoln Board of Education service. At that time, Kathy Danick and Don Mayhew had already served a term. They were seasoned veterans full of knowledge. Their service then and throughout the intervening years has exemplified the values of civility, decision-making based on facts and data, consensus building, advocating for the common good, and respecting the board's decisions. Then, as now, each board member brought their own unique skill set, life experience, and priorities. Our differences have made us a better board, able to make good decisions based on a range of information and resources. Throughout the years, there is one thing that we all share in common. We are here for the kids. We're not here to grandstand, to grind axes of old pet peeves, or make certain supporters are happy. We are here for the children and their families. Don and Kathy have never wavered in that commitment, ever. Kathy Danick started as a stay-at-home mom who was never home. Instead, she was the PTO mom, the gooder down the street, making cinnamon rolls at Christmas for her neighbors and friends, the lady who helped out when someone was sick. After knocking on nearly every door in her subdistrict, she rightfully earned the chance to lead. Her board service has been informed by remembering the kid down the block who didn't have the winter coat, the teenager who had to make 2 bus transfers to get to class, often not on time, the single mom who couldn't make ends meet, and the young refugee couple with 3 kids studying hard to learn English. Kathy has always brought her heart to our grueling budget decision-making process. Kathy became the self-taught expert on state aid, which you don't want to go there, and Nebraska Department of Education rules. She helped bring all-day kindergarten to Lincoln and the whole state. She's been a tireless advocate for teachers. The list is too long to recite here, but Kathy has made a mark on Lincoln Public Schools and Lincoln as a community, and that mark is very positive. Don Mayhew, self-described tech nerd, erstwhile chef and restaurateur, and now real estate owner and manager, has provided insight from the beginning of the tech revolution's impact on K through 12th grade education. He has been mindful of cybersecurity while focused on the needs of students, particularly students from disadvantaged backgrounds, which is something I've always appreciated about you. Don has been our consensus builder, the person who seeks the common ground between each of us. He has been our glue as we work with the community to develop strategic plans, hire new superintendents, build support for bonds, and ensure that each bond successfully delivered the promises made to the community. From both of these dedicated mentors, I have learned that political life works best when we retain our civility. This doesn't mean we don't have vigorous debate. It does mean when our passions run high, we do not burden the public with emotional discourse that leads only to hurt feelings and too often a lack of communication. Instead of angry statements that may feel good in the moment, both Kathy and Dawn asked questions, sought data, tried to sort out fact from a haystack of fiction. They answered their phones anytime, anywhere. They advocated for families in difficult places. They informed each of us that isn't about who wins or loses, but rather about how we do what is best for our community. In the end, if you lose a board vote, remember, we only function as a board together in session, and once the vote is taken, you respect the result and move on. These simple political lessons in the public sphere may seem like business as usual, but they are not. This is how self-governance, the active democracy, works. Unfortunately, in today's political climate, it seems one-upping each other is more important than working toward the common good. It's been my immense pleasure and honor to serve and learn from Kathy Danek and Don Mayhew. We are very lucky to have them dedicate 24 years each of their time and insight towards maintaining and improving Lincoln Public Schools. Thank you for your service, Kathy and Don.
Thanks.
Annie.
Well, you may have to stand up again. I was at a dinner with neighbors the other night and realized that I've been on the board as long as their eldest daughter has been alive. During these 10 years, we've had conversations about how to think about where she might attend elementary school, some very tense conversations about how we were handling the pandemic, and now look at her, she's all ready to go into middle school. And that's only for 10 years. You both have had 24 years on the board. That has to be close to 2 full generations of LPS learners under your leadership. And all the stories. You have helped your neighbors. You have had to make some really hard budgeting decisions. You helped a community get through the dark days that followed that hot flame that brought down the house. You both continue to open yourself to learning how to do better or different every year. You helped us through some strategic planning and more than one superintendent search. And you served districts across the state with service on the Nebraska Association of School Boards. 24 years ago, you both stepped up to the plate of service and have given it so much of your time and attention, and have hung in there election after election. Don, several months ago during a meeting, you answered a question in your usual Don way. You had been just listening for most of the conversation, and then it was your turn to speak. First, in your unique way, you told us all to take a deep breath. You then summed up our conversation in a few sentences, shared what you thought our conclusion was, and that opened up a way for us to all really conclude that the conversation had indeed could move on to the next. It was really classic Don. And I thought, I am so going to miss this. And then I thought, who is going to do this? And then I thought, oh my, am I going to have to start doing this? And realized once again how different and complementary our strengths are. We've had more than one 2-hour plus phone conversation, and more than one conversation where we did not agree, but we're in a better place within our disagreement due to our conversation. And I thank you for that sharing of time and talent. I also don't know how I'm going to know when to answer yay or nay, because you will not be here ahead of me, 10 years of having Mayouth and Mumgard. I also want to say our time in Philadelphia with you and your lovely Linda and your lovely niece is one of my most special board memories. I'm going to miss chatting with Linda, and I'm going to miss you. Kathy, you are the holder of deep institutional memory. So many times you've been able to give context to the issue at hand because often you had a hand in creating the answer at an original time. Your ability to keep numbers in your head is a true gift. I've seen you in a financial committee go toe-to-toe with Liz on a math question and sometimes win.
Very rarely.
Yeah, rarely. But you tried, and you gave it a try. And your commitment to serving not just our community, but willing to help represent districts from across the state with your membership on the NASB Legislative Committee and NASB at large, those are extra meetings on our extra meetings. Many have a lot to thank you for. I'll end with one word, duck. And you know what I'm talking about. Take time to have some fun within the commitments of your life and take care of Terry. I'm going to miss him too. And I'd have like an added note here. I wasn't quite ready at the last meeting, just a bit of a memory for our friend Lanny. My, that man loved to serve. He and I also had some long phone conversations and came to a strong understanding of each other. He once said, you and I, we want the same thing for students. We just will never take the same path there. And that meant we had to work at it, something he was not afraid to do. While in Finance Committee the other day, trying to be as thorough as possible, thinking through the question at hand, I asked myself, what would Lanny ask and do? Which meant I had to try to look at the question as if I were standing on my head. I'm not sure I was successful, but I will keep the question up front, what would Lanny ask or do, as a way to keep me on my toes. I feel so lucky to have been able to serve with him and have him as my friend. Now back to you two. I'm only so good at words, so I asked a pro to help me out with a bit of a tradition around here, someone who also served with you both. It only took 1 cup of coffee for our friend Ed Zimmer to write the following limericks for you. I hope you like them. So for Kathy, he wrote you a Dannerick, if you will. For Kathy. Rocket Kathy loved Mickle and Dawes. Once sworn in, every kid was her cause. She answered the call, proclaiming all means all, for year after year, without pause.
That's beautiful.
And for Dawn, we have, after serving full 24 years, you've shared in our laughter and tears. As our man for all seasons, our quiet voice of reason, now both Silver and Seahawks join our cheers. Thanks to you both. Job well done.
Right. Dawn or Kathy, would you like to say anything?
Okay, I promised I wasn't going to cry, but you guys made me a liar. So running for the board was never a plan. It was a destination. It was a destination because every child needs to be represented. Every child, no matter what zip code they come from, who their parents are, what they look like, what they believe, what disabilities they have. Every child needs a champion. That's what this Board of Education and the service we provide should mandate, and I think we've done a fairly good job of it. You do that by making sure good people sit in the teacher's seat, or which teachers never sit down, or that the custodian keeps the building clean, The bus driver gets them to and from class. The staff at the district office makes sure that every child has what they need by making sure their teachers are prepared. We hire the best, we give them the support they need, and we're guided by a great superintendent and an executive committee that makes sure they're there for everyone. We see the evidence of our students every single day, and this was a perfect day to remind me what wonderful gifts we give the city of Lincoln with all of the students that spoke to us today and reminded us all means all each and every day. Thank you. He cheated, he wrote it.
24 years ago, when Kathy and I were first elected to this board, Lincoln was a different city. The district was smaller, many of the challenges were different, but the mission was the same, to serve every student who walked through our doors. We believed in all means all before it had a name. It's a principle that calls us to reach every student, no matter who they are or where they come from. That calling hasn't always been easy, but it has always been right. It shaped the way I approached this role, and I've had the privilege of serving alongside people who never lost sight of that promise. In that time, I've watched the district grow alongside our city, adding new schools, new programs, new choices for students and families. We passed bond elections by wide margins because this community believes in public education. We navigated record enrollment growth. We faced the uncertainty of a global pandemic and emerged stronger, more connected, more committed. I could list the projects and milestones, but at the heart of all of it is one enduring truth: public education matters. It is and must remain a shining beacon for our community. To my colleagues on the board, to our administration, and to every teacher and staff member, continue forward with the same dedication and sense of purpose. The challenges will keep coming, but through it all, remember why we're here. Keep doing what's best for students and families, fight for them when needed, and hold fast to the idea that public schools are not just a mirror of our community, they are the foundation that makes everything else possible. Lincoln is one city, one district, and when our schools thrive, our city thrives. I've had the honor of serving alongside remarkable colleagues. Kathy, you and I began this journey together, and I couldn't have asked for a better friend or ally through the years. Lanny, though he's no longer with us, served with integrity and heart, and I wish that he could be here to share this moment. To all my fellow board members, past and present, thank you. Our work on this board has moved the district forward in meaningful ways, and I am proud to have been part of it. To Dr. Scretta, Jim Gesford, the executive cabinet, directors, support staff, all the people that I've worked with most closely, thank you for your professionalism, your expertise, and your unwavering dedication to our community's children. To the teachers, building administrators, and staff, the excellence of LPS begins and ends with the people who serve in its schools. Thank you for being that steady force. I also want to take a moment to thank my wife, Linda. She didn't sign up for public life, but she celebrated every win and mourned every setback right by my side. Her steady support made all the difference, especially during the hard seasons. To borrow a line from a movie, being with her makes me want to be a better man. I'm still working on that, and I am endlessly grateful she chose to walk this path with me. Finally, to the residents of District 7, thank you for trusting me to represent your interests for so many years. It's been one of the great honors of my life, and I will always be grateful. Thank you.
Now the superintendent's report.
Thank you, President Rauner. So first off, just wanted to reinforce something Annie said earlier, which is our gratitude to the board on behalf of the district for the authorization and approval of the contracts and work agreements that were on the agenda for tonight. I think it's reflective of our school board's commitment to ensuring that the Lincoln Public Schools has the best, most highly qualified, committed staff at every level, and your support for recruitment, retention, and the ongoing professional support of the team is so noted and so appreciated. To the Cadre scholars, just want to say thank you so much for your wonderfully delivered presentation and the perspective you bring that is so important for us to hear. And to the Castle brothers, congratulations on the deck of success, and thank you for sharing your perspective with us tonight. We all know this is a wonderfully exciting time of the year. We get to celebrate accomplishments like Pinnacle, student achievements, and recognize our incredible LPS students and staff as we approach the end of a school year. Just last night, we celebrated the Hispanic Latino Senior Recognition hosted at Southeast Community College. It was great to have Barb Beyer there representing the board with us. 1 week ago tonight, we hosted Future Educator Senior Signing Day, and that was just another great grow your own educator pipeline program from Barb Miller and Dr. Price and her team. The very next night, we celebrated our LPS retirees with a wonderful celebration at Hillcrest. It's hard to believe how fast it's gone as you approach the end of a school year and little more than a week out now from our graduation celebrations. So by way of another formal recognition here, we do want to note, Bob, if you could just grab those books and kind of let the folks kind of see what we've got here. I wanted to just kind of walk folks through this because it's an important gesture of gratitude. With this being the final meeting preceding our organizational board meeting for 25-26, we want to recognize this year's board leadership. The Lincoln Public Schools expresses its gratitude to our Board of Education leaders and our ESU 18, our Educational Service Unit 18 leaders. As you'll see in the beautifully wrapped items at your respective seats, we are gifting in your name 3 books selected by Library Services designated to a school within your board district. So thank you to Board of Education President Bob Rauner, 3 books to Meadow Lane Elementary. Board of Education Vice President Kathy Danick, 3 books to Kehoe Elementary. ESU 18 President Piyush Srivastava, books to Zeman Elementary. And ESU 18 Vice President Don Mayhew, books to Roper Elementary. Each book has a commemorative decal inside the front cover, noting that the book has been gifted in your name to the designated school. Again, we thank you for your leadership, and also a big thanks to Dr. Chris Hefner and the team in Library Services for helping to steward this thoughtful gesture. My only concluding comment, there's so many wonderful accolades that have been shared about Kathy and Don tonight. To Don and Kathy, you have clearly had, and your legacy will perpetuate this, an outsized impact on the Lincoln Public Schools, each for, in essence, a quarter of a century of formal leadership service. And in having the opportunity to work directly with you both and to see your work over so many years, I believe you both exemplify leading with head and heart simultaneously, and always all in, all means all, supporting our LPS students. So your work has inspired all of us to be better. Thank you.
Great. Announcements of upcoming events for the board. We have a few things going on the next few weeks. So we have May 14th, the Immigration and Refugee Senior Recognition, 5 p.m. at the Clifton. May 19th, Board of Organizational Meeting, 6 p.m. here. May 20th, Yankee Hill graduation, 6 p.m. East High. May 21st, we have the GNSA meeting, 9:30 a.m. at the NCSA offices. Face the Chamber at noon at the Country Club, and then Independence Academy graduation at 6 p.m. at the Career Academy. May 22nd, we have the Bryan Community graduation at 6 p.m. at East High. May 23rd, we have the Lincoln Northeast graduation, 6 p.m. at Pinnacle Bank Arena. May 24th is a busy day with Lincoln Southwest graduation at 9 p.m. at Pinnacle Bank, Lincoln Northwest at graduation at noon, Lincoln North Star at graduation at 3, and East graduation at 6. May 25th, we have Lincoln High School graduation at noon at Pinnacle Bank, and Lincoln Southeast graduation, 3 p.m. at Pinnacle Bank. May 26th is a holiday, LPS is closed, and May 27th, board meeting at 6 p.m. here. We have no other public comment, no requests for a closed session. Do we have a motion to adjourn? All right, we are adjourned.
Do we have an ESU?
Thank you, my friend.
We do have ESU.
We have ESU.
Oh, yeah.
We have ESU.
We do.
ESU.
ESU.
Whoa, we have the ESU.
Pass it down the line,
Y'all can move, y'all can leave, yeah.
This is boring, you don't want to sit there.
Mr. President.
I forgot we had to do ESU when John passed it.
What's on the agenda?
It's
There's
the,
2 items, I think, basically
Yeah,
2
leave.
ESU items,
Yep.
MSA and Migrant Ed Consortium application.
we
I
just,
think that's about it.
just exit. Yeah, they'll move it there. Or cheat like we do and choose what's on the board.
I call to order this meeting of Board of Education ESU 18 for Tuesday, May 13, 2025. Laura, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Byer.
Here.
Mrs. Danik.
Here.
Mrs. Krivolavik.
Here.
Mr. Mayhew.
Present.
Ms. Mumgard.
Here.
Dr. Rauner.
Here.
Mr. Shrivastov.
Present. The Nebraska Open Meetings Act is posted and available at the entrance to the room. We have minutes from our February 25th, 2025 ESU meeting for approval. Are there any additions or corrections? Seeing none, the minutes stand approved as published. Next is public comment, and we do not have any blue cards. Next is the consent agenda. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda? Seeing none, is there a motion for approval on the items on the consent agenda? Kathy?
I would move approval of consent items 7.1.
Is there a second? Annie?
I'll second that.
Laura, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Byer.
Yes.
Mrs. Danik.
Yes.
Mrs. Krivolavik.
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew.
Yes.
Ms. Mumgard.
Yes.
Dr. Rauner.
Yes.
Mr. Shrivastov.
Yes. 8.0, we do not have any items for the first reading for this meeting. 9.0, we do not have any items for the second reading for this meeting. And we do not have a request for closed session, so we are adjourned.
That's a record.